Alright, today I'm going to bring you along as I polish this aluminum tank. I had never done this before, and I just did like everybody else. I watched some videos and bought some stuff, and I turned one tank that looked identical to this into this. This isn't perfect. It looks good in camera, but the closer you get, you'll find more imperfections and scratches, because apparently that's what polishing is. It's taking big imperfections, turning them into tiny imperfections that are less noticeable. So we're going to take this tank, put lots of scratches in it, then we're going to put even smaller scratches in it and even smaller scratches in it until you have enough small scratches that you really can't see it because they're so minute. So let's get going. I'll show you what I'm going to use. Again, I'm just learning. This is my first tank ever. It's not perfect. It's got some marks. It's got some flaws. But I started on the passenger side because, you know, I won't have to look at that all the time. All right, so the first thing we have to do is get it all sanded down so we have a nice uniform finish to start with, because polishing is nothing more than taking big imperfections and covering them up with tiny, tiny imperfections. This is the best way to describe it. Like this one has a big dent here. It has this spot here where something rubbed through. It's very deep. Like, I'll never get that out. That'll always be ugly. And there's a spot here that's pretty well worn. I'll never get that out. Big heavy scratches here, right? And these heavy scratches. Now this is the front of the tank. This is the outside of the tank. We got rust stains and big scratches in here. This tank is from 2008 and it's never been polished. It's got a lot of salt and corrosion damage, but it doesn't matter. We're not looking for show quality. We just need something to look better than this. So I'm going to start on the back. Now, there's two ways we can go about this. One is to use a high-speed sander with an adapter like this for the sandpaper, or the other is, for me being new, an orbital sander, because this orbital sander, the difference between these two, this just spins in one direction. That spins in one direction, but it also oscillates a little bit. So when you're doing this, you're not just sanding like this and make sand marks. It's going like this as you're moving it. So it's really disguising your scratches a lot better. Like, this is very time consuming. That's fast. But that is something that, you know, as you gain experience, I think. I did use that on the other one and it worked very well, but that has far more control and it's far more forgiving than that, because you can get deep into that and make some really deep scratches that you'll fight to get out, or at least I did. So here's the sandpaper I'm using. This is Norton Gold. This is hook loop. These are the 5-inch diameter, 180, 220, 320, 400, 600, and 800. So that's how far we're going. And then once we get to 800, we should start to see a pretty decent reflection. If we start to see a good reflection, then the actual polishing of with the buff wheel will be a lot easier. So it seems like the majority of this is in the prep work. You know, the better you prep it up with sanding, the easier it seems to be to polish. That's what, at least that's what I experience. Let's see what we can do. Alright, so you see how long that took, and now I'm going to switch over to the high-speed grinder on the other side. So we're going to use this now. Now they do make what's called an interface pad that you can put in between here and your sandpaper, and it sticks to it. It's a hook loop just like this, and that gives you more cushion so you're not digging in as much, so you can get more even pressure, especially in the rounded places. But I'm going to show you how much faster this is. At first, we're going to kind of use the edge a little bit and kind of come in at an angle like this on the material. And we're going to kind of cut into it. And then after we get the big defects out. We're going to flatten it out and run it like this. It's not easy to do. I've got this turned down to the lowest setting. Need a battery? Nope, good on battery. Oh yeah, and a good respirator, because you don't want to breathe this stuff. You can see how that is a little more cumbersome to handle, but look how much faster we got to a shine. I'm already getting a reflection already. We're getting some over here too. Over here's probably better. This is by far faster, but you know, you can, if you hold it too much at an angle, or you push too hard, or you move too slow, and when you go to move from, say you're coming across here and you want to come down, if you're too slow doing this, you create a big gouge right there. So you got to stay moving with this thing. That's why I think the orbital is probably better to start with. But regardless, this is the back side. I'd like to get through it pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead and run up through the grits. This is 180 or 120. It's 120. I'll go 180, 220, 320, 400, 600, 800. And after that, we can start polishing, but I got a long way to go. Well, I certainly don't recommend a battery grinder to do this, because as your RPMs speed up and slow down because your battery life, it may be minimal, but it's enough to notice. Like, the other thing is, don't skip. Don't let the thing go where it. You got to stay nice and smooth all the way across, and then outline the edges first. Got another big dent here. Outline everything I'm going to do first, and then I grind to it. That's all sticker, but now you can see just how bad this tank really is. And I could work on this and sand it a lot more and get a lot of these pits out. That is just not the finish we're after. This, I just want it to be polished. This is up underneath the truck. Only about this much of the tank actually shows once it's installed. So this is just great practice. Out here, when you have a round tank like this, it's so important that you try and get this thing as smooth as possible and even, because you're creating scratches in here that the light's going to reflect. And as you go to polish, you're going to keep picking up them scratches because the light's going to hit it like this. And I tried going diagonal and see if that made a difference, but I got the best results doing this way. Anyways, I'm going to continue on. I'm still on with 180. This is the second sandpaper piece so far, and you're going to go through some, especially if it's in this condition. But just take your time. It's all about patience and muscle memory and smooth. The smoother you are with each step you have, the easier it's going to be. I'm just figuring this out on my own and sharing what I've learned. And that interface pad, it's like a big cushion. So when you put that thing on here in between that disc and your paper, what happens is it allows you to get a wider area, because you have a cushion. When you push down, it cups the tank better, because every one of these sand lines is a flat line. This turns flat, so you have a round tank, and where you're sanding is getting flat, and you have a peak here and a peak here. So every time that you make a pass, you're creating another line going across here that you're gonna have to work out. So having that interface pad would help with that and make it not as defined and small. It would spread your sanding marks out wider, which would be definitely beneficial. I've got it on order, just don't have it yet. And for this tank, it doesn't really matter. It'll be better than it was. The other thing is, depending on what you're after, don't change your grit until you're happy with the imperfections. If you can live with what's here, again, this is not a very nice tank. It's not going on a nice truck, nothing show quality. But if you wanted all these out, there's a lot more sanding to do. You see how in the camera, you can see the lines showing up now. That's where the edges of the sandpaper is, and that will show up in the polish. In fact, I'll show you that, because I did that on this one on the top side, and I was learning, and you can see all the imperfections in here, and you can see the lines, my sanding lines in here. It doesn't show up really well on camera, but it does in the sunlight. But you can see where my sanding lines are. So the amount of pressure and the speed that you go is a big deal too. So you can see here. All right, if you want to make it look like you did a really nice job, you hold the camera away. You want to see reality, well, you bring it up here, and then you see all the scratches, you know, everything that's in here. And all these are mostly all of them are sanding scratches, not from the buffing wheel. They were in there and I just couldn't get them out because, you know, again, we're just learning. Another thing to be mindful of is I like to get in the center and then do the swinging motion with my legs, not so much with my arms, so I can keep this at the same level and the same way all the way across. And I think that makes a big difference. So I've been through 180 and 220, and you know, you're starting to get a little something here. You can start to see a little reflection now. It's not a lot, but something. So I'll do the whole thing in 320 now, and in some places like here, I'm going to change the direction. This is up against the quarter fender. You'll never see this. This is where I'm doing like my practice stuff, or trying this method or that method and see what it turns out like. Don't discount these edges right now in your steps, because this will not be easier later. That is for sure. I didn't made that mistake on the other one. I didn't spend a whole lot of time. I missed a spot right there in my last step. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this lip right here, getting close to that weld, and I paid for it because it took an awful lot of work. I don't know if that shows up, but you can kind of see you're creating valleys and peaks in here. That's why it's so important to hold it flat, and that's where that, you know, interface pad would be helpful. Now once I get so far down, we're done with this, and we're definitely going to move on with the DA, which will probably be right about the 400 grit. The next stage after this will go with the orbital sander, I mean. Apparently I went a little too early, because these are sanding marks from the previous that I cannot get out yet, because what I'm using isn't aggressive enough. And the high-speed sander, what I'm telling you about, it'll cause you grief, is it's hard to see this here, but every time I get around here, I get in here and I dig a little bit. So it's definitely, for a new guy like me, it's better to use this orbital, because it makes things so much simpler. Now, I've done this whole top in 400, and I took the orbital and went up and down this way to even out those lines, and now I don't think I can really see any of the lines. Now, that dent sure is getting more pronounced with each step, you know, but it's what it is. It's what we got to work with. This side is coming along better. I have one spot right in here I couldn't get, and I can tell you from doing the other one that when you can't get these out, it doesn't get better. But you see, we're starting to get some reflection here at 400. So this in here that I can't get out, I either have to keep at it with 400, or I got to step back down to 320, 380, whatever that was, 320, and do it again, because this is a spot and another spot down here that, you know, I won't be able to get them sanding marks out. I've got most of my sanding marks out of here, and it's kind of tough, because when they bend these things, they're not exactly flat. Like this round is here, it flattens out and it kind of peaks here and comes back down, and then it goes concave right here. If you can see this line right here, it goes concave before it comes around. And I took a DA, or that orbital sander, and I went back and forth like this to smooth out those as well. This doesn't matter, you can't see it. Again, just practice, see what I can make work. I've made my way all the way up through now to 800 grit, and at 800 grit you should start to see some reflection, and we did. I saw some places where there was still some scratches. I don't know where they're at right now, but if you haven't got them out now, they're just going to probably look worse when it's polished. But anyways, we're about to get the polisher out, and I'll show you that, what we're going to do first. This is what we're going to use. This is the DeWalt polisher. It's a variable speed by dial. I'm turning this down to 3,000 RPM. These wheels are meant to be run at 3,500, I think. But as it wears, you know, you're going a little bit faster than you are when it's, because this is about half the size it's supposed to be. My son used this to polish some tanks on another truck before, but we're just using it for this. So I've turned it down to 3,000, and this is a rake. And what we're going to do is, as we start buffing on this thing, polishing, this is going to get filled up with aluminum, and it'll get real shiny. When it starts to get a shine on, we'll hit it with the buff, get all that cleaned off, and we'll use some more buffing compound, rouge bar, whatever it's called. This is the brown, and we'll put some on. So in the beginning, I'll do very little, add some more compound, rake it, or I'll rake it, put some compound, do a little, rake it again, compound, do a little more. I'd rather redo that, add compound each time, than to let that build up with aluminum on there and just cause deep scratches. Because, you know, again, polishing is all about taking big scratches, turn them into smaller scratches, and then undetectable scratches, ideally, but we're not going to get that far. So from over there, it looks pretty good. Over here, we got a lot of residue left that we have to get out. But, hey, it's not too bad. You can see that guy now. Again, it's all about patience and time. See how changing direction right here cleared this up, but we still have the fog line over here. We'll get it. It's going to take some practice and some time. This up here, this part turned out really good, and that's where I really spent a lot of time. You can see how well that turned out. Even with a big old dent there. This side, not too bad. We're getting some clarity. We'll go over it again and get all this off. This is probably still just maybe more compound in there. It feels good. It feels real good. These cleaned up good. I was a little concerned about that. But, yeah. I'll keep going with the yellow and the brown bar, and after that we'll pick up with the next one. I'm going to start at the bottom, work my way up all the way through, and do a lot of raking, a little bit of compound, do a little bit of small pass, rake again. To me, it's a lot easier to clean the rake and go again than it is to go too far and redeposit the aluminum that you just took off. those rocks hurt. That's the last part for that wheel, the last pass, I guess. So now we're going to start with a blue purple wheel with the green compound, and same thing, just more of the same, just a little bit lighter pressure, and hopefully it'll get it where we want it. Probably 2 passes with that, and then 1 more different wheel and different compound. Call that good enough. That'll do. Okay, we'll move on to this side now that I feel like I did that side well enough. I think this would turn out okay. Now I'll start on this side because it's the one that shows. So that tank is done with the purple wheel and the green compound, and the last one is the white. And I was able to get rid of the stripes I had going this way, at least in this light. The problem is in different light it will show up differently, so we don't know if they're gone 100% yet. I know these are not. I wish it would show up in camera so I could show you, but it has stripes this way. It looks much better in camera than it does in person, I will promise you that. See how all these little pits in here, which you guys may not be able to see, make it so more cloudy, and my inexperience. But yeah, we got it's better than it was. It's a good learning experience. I'm okay with that. Now I'm going to get the white buff pad with the blue compound, and that will just hopefully make it shine a little more. All right, I just finished out with the white buff, and I guess it's a white compound in this kit, but you know, it brought it out a little farther. So I guess I've learned an awful lot, and if I can give anybody any advice, it is do all your sanding work. As tedious as it seems, you cannot believe how much sanding out everything very well makes this easier. You can still see, man, I can't get the sunlight to work with me, but we still have lines going this way on the top. I was able to get them out of the sides, but you just never know till you get it in the sun, because the sun's going to show all the scratches completely different than when you're not in the sun. But I didn't spend a lot of time on this again because it's not that kind of truck. This is a work truck. So yeah, I think we're about done, and now we'll get the truck in, and we're going to start getting back on Project Overkill, because that's what these are for. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one. Now we got it inside with some different light. Maybe you can see these marks now. Yeah, now you can see them. See what I mean about different light? You can see these marks in here and down here that I couldn't get out. And either that is me not doing enough with the yellow buff, the cut and buff, because the first one, that yellow, is really the one that is the most aggressive, and then the green, whatever color that was, purple, gets less aggressive, and the white is, I guess, just more of a, you know, bring the color out polish type deal. But you know what, I am pleased as punch. I think it's going to make that truck look so much better than steel tanks, even if the polishing isn't show quality. I mean, come on, they'll just have to do, you know, I mean, whatever. I don't think Project Overkill will mind at all. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next one.